social media world, Anna Claire here. Welcome back to the Vision Makes the Difference workshop series. Today we're going to talk about gathering supplies, which is one of my favorite topics because I love to craft, and one of my favorite things about making a vision board is that you end up with this beautiful piece of art that reminds you of your goals. So I am excited to show you some of my favorite supplies for building a vision board and just share some reminders and some tips and tricks on how we might build our vision boards together on Saturday. But first, let's just review really quickly what we've already covered this week as a part of our workshop. So on Sunday, we talked about why vision matters, and that video is readily available on Instagram and Facebook. On Tuesday, we talked about making your mission, and we built a mission statement together for 2023. And the worksheet that's the companion for that video is available on my Teachers Pay Teachers page, completely free for download. And you can find the link to that in my bio on Instagram. So by all means, download that and give that video a watch before you head over here to talk about supplies. And today we are talking about gathering supplies before Saturday, when we're going to have our live vision board building and Q&A session, where I'm going to answer all of your questions about vision boards, goal setting, or just about my own vision board experience. And that'll be at 7 o'clock live on Instagram and Facebook. So before we get down to business, building a beautiful vision board like this, we need to talk about supplies. And this is one of my favorite topics because I love being creative. I think that being creative with your vision board and making it look however you want it to look is one of the things that makes it so special, and is one of the things that encourages you to continue looking at it, to continue to be reminded of those goals that you're setting. That's kind of the whole point, is that we're making something that we want to look at and something that reminds us of our purpose and our vision and our mission for this year. So the 4 kinds of supplies I'm going to talk about are magazines, books, printouts, and other important supplies. So jumping right into magazines, there's an awesome thrift store where I live up in Boone, and they have 10-cent magazines. You never know what you're gonna get. It's a little bit unpredictable, but you just can't beat that price. Getting a magazine from a Barnes & Noble or Sam's Club is gonna run you anywhere between $5 to $15, depending on what kind of magazine it is. And this year, I think I got a pretty good selection. Got a good handful here. I didn't go too overboard because I knew there were other kinds of supplies I wanted to use, but you're kind of just at the mercy of whatever shows up in the thrift store. This year I happened to find a newcomer's guide to North Carolina, so some good North Carolina phrases in there, and some beautiful images of florals, the words rise and shine, inspiring people, places, and spaces. Some of these things just stick out to you automatically. Some of these things may not stick out as readily, which is why this video is being included on Thursday, when hopefully you have already considered your vision for 2023 and decided on your mission statement. So hopefully, as you're gathering supplies, you really have something strong and purposeful in mind. You have words, phrases, or images that you're looking out for. Magazines are kind of that thing that we think of initially when we think of vision boards, because some of the very first vision boards were made from clippings and cutouts from magazines. So this is always a standby for me. I typically include lots of magazines in my vision boarding process, but there are other cool supplies you can use. So this year, I decided to include some beautiful used books in my vision boarding process. Now, I know that some of us might have some hesitations about using books in our vision boarding process, but I just want to offer you some encouragement. My 3 main reasons for utilizing used books in my vision board process are: first, these books have been well loved. They have lived a full life in somebody else's library, and you can tell by the pages and the covers and some of the staining and maybe even some of the writing that's in them, that they have already been well loved by somebody else, and there's nothing wrong with giving them a second life as a part of a very important goal setting process in your life. The second reason that I love to use used books is because I can use them for years to come. Ooh, just in this book alone, there is no way that I'm gonna get through all of those beautiful images in one vision board. So this stack is gonna last me several years because it's full of things that I know I love including in my vision board. If you're someone who's already made one before, you might know that for me, I'll use myself as an example, there are going to be florals on my vision board. I love them. They make me happy. They make me want to look at my vision board, remember my goals, and remind me to keep growing. So florals are a must. garden plants and flowers. Lots of great images and some base images in here to go behind some of your quotes and inspiring words. So those are things that I will use for years to come. This butterfly book was a gorgeous find, and it is chock full of butterfly images that I will continue to use for years. And April Cornell at Home has some really cozy images and even some self-care items that I thought might be nice to include in my vision board this year. So I'm going to use these for years. This $6 stack of books is going to serve me well for, gosh, I'm not even sure how long I'll be using these, but I imagine a very, very long time. Now, the third reason that I don't hesitate about using some old books in my vision board process is because I love putting my money back into used bookstores. I think it's awesome. I grew up reading a lot of books. I can't imagine financially how much money my parents spent on books for me when I was growing up. And I think it's great for communities to have an opportunity to have a store that offers paperbacks for $1 and hardbacks for $2. That opens a world of opportunities for people that maybe finances are a barrier for them getting books that they enjoy. There's a huge selection at David's Used Books in Greenville, North Carolina. They are always getting new stuff in, and I just think it's awesome for the community to have those literary opportunities. So, moving on to the process of how I go through these books, and the same process applies to magazines. I like to flip through my books and think about what images might be helpful where. And for magazines, you can also do this with words or phrases. But I like to flip through the book, use my Post-it notes and my pen to just note little images that inspire me so I can go back later. You don't have to cut everything out immediately. So I can just go back later, have a look, decide what I want to use and where it might be useful, and then I'll cut it out when the time is right. So that is how I typically utilize magazines and books. But I wanted to talk about another potential supply option, which is printouts. If you're someone like me who puts a lot of intention into their vision board every year, or if this is your first vision board and you're feeling a little bit nervous about finding everything you need, printouts are a great option. I use Canva all the time. A Word document or a PowerPoint document will probably do the same thing. Google Docs can do the same thing. But you can just go on there, decide on some words, some phrases, even some images if you like, and you can change the font, change the size of the font, whatever you want to do. But this gives you a bit of an insurance policy that if there's something specific you're looking for and you're having a hard time finding it, you can print it out. You can print out exactly what you need. This is something I tend to do when I'm getting towards the end of my vision board process and there's just couple specific things that I would really like to have that I couldn't find. That's when I'll reach for the printouts and just handle those things. I've been very fortunate in the past that it's all come together and worked out just fine, but know that that is a great option if you're feeling a little nervous about creating your vision board, that you can always print out a few things to make sure it says exactly what you want it to say. Now, as far as other supplies is concerned, the typical things that you're going to need if you are a tape person or a glue person, you can make that decision for yourself. I also really like scrapbooking dots for my vision board process because I like that there's really clean edges and it's not, the edges don't get all ruffled because I keep the windows open in my room during the summertime. But you can decide on tape or glue. You can use whatever kind of glue you'd like to. Some people like a paintbrush and they just kind of paint regular old craft glue onto their vision board. Some people prefer to use a glue stick. Totally up to you, but you're going to want some adhesive of some kind. You are, of course, going to need some scissors. If you're somebody that feels comfortable using an X-Acto knife, that's also a great option. I can imagine on some of these butterflies and flowers, that might be something that I want to do this year, is use an X-Acto knife. I'm not particularly good at it though, so you do what works for you. And then you're also going to want a big sheet of paper. For me, I have a specific place that I put my vision board. I know about how big it needs to be every year, but if you're unsure or you're not sure exactly where you want to put it, having some boundaries of a specific size piece of paper can be really helpful. I can go over to the size of my wall. This is my 4th vision board workshop with all of you. So I know about how big it is and I can think about what that'll look like and where I want to put what. But if you're not sure, having a sheet of paper is a great way to get started. Mine, if you've seen them, they kind of branch off the sides and there's this hanging here and that hanging there. That is not a necessity. You can put everything on one rectangle piece of paper. I have tons of friends who do it that way. Some people get a larger poster board because they want more room. Whatever works for you is the way to do it. So, recapping all of that, the supplies that I use on my vision boards are magazines, books, printouts, and other supplies. And some of those other supplies we talked about were poster boards, pieces of paper or cardstock, scissors, glue, tape, or other adhesives. And just throwing it out there, if you're somebody that scrapbooks and you have some pieces of paper that are just sitting lonesome in the back of your drawer or sitting in your scrap paper binder, feel free to use those as well. If you are a crafty person, then bring that element into your vision board. If you are not, and you just want to print out some beautiful words to add to a sheet of paper, that's okay too. However you want to make this vision board is the right way. It's all about how you want to do it. So the 2 takeaways that I want you to remember for this session are, first, the supplies you use is the least important part of your vision board journey. The second takeaway is that I want you to choose supplies you will enjoy. There are no wrong choices. If you have questions, ideas, or suggestions for the upcoming live vision board building and Q&A session on Saturday, please let me know, especially since I'm talking about supplies today. If you know of something cool you think that I should add this year, then let me know. If you have any questions about any of this or have questions about maybe where you can find some of the supplies, just let me know. I'm happy to help out. But all of that to say, I'm so excited that you have stuck with it this week and that you've been building on your vision and your mission so that we can build this vision board together. And remember, a life with Live Well is a life well lived. See you next time.